Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of Are in Pharma. Can't believe it's already day 3. We have an amazing agenda for today, and I can't wait to start. So our first speaker will give the opening remarks, and this is Raul Torres from Takeda. So, Raul, I will pass the baton to you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Elena. So, hey everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, where you at? I'm gonna share my screen. So hopefully everyone can see that. I'm gonna be speaking today some general opening remarks. But yeah, as far as the conference, welcome to day 3. Honestly, I've based on previous virtual conferences, I was a little worried, but to be honest, I think this one has been going incredibly well. The discussion and the feedback is really good, and there's pockets where there's like an old tech conversation yesterday that was pretty interesting. I sat in on, so this for me has been going really well. I hope it's been going well for everyone else, and yeah, I'm excited to speak with you today. One thing I will say is that the views I'm expressing here are 100% my own, and so I'm not going to. Yeah, they don't represent any views of Takeda. That's the disclaimer I have to say. Other than that, so yeah, I've been asked to speak about data science and some applications in pharma based on my experience. So I wrote the talk to be pretty high level, but I will be sharing some things that I'm doing myself, and yeah. I never really want to define data scientists or data science because there's so many different definitions. But basically, I would say it's someone who codes to extract data, glean insight from it, and share that insight effectively. So very synonymous with data miner in that they're getting data. Also with a software engineer in that they're writing lots of code and packages. And there's been some great ones that I've seen here, and also very closely tied to a statistician in that they're gleaning that insight and sharing it effectively. That's really one nice thing I saw was they called it a data scientist, a magician of the big data era. So I think that's pretty appropriate because I think it's very rare to combine all these skills together. And then when you add the different types of data that we're seeing, there's many more challenges that arise. So that's a data, I guess what I define a data scientist as. And as far as time spent on a data science project, this is, I thought, a pretty representative breakdown. And if you remember Julia's talk yesterday, she was talking about visualization during the modeling portion of a data science project. So I would say if you see that green bar there, she was really breaking that down even further and giving further details. So I thought that was really good. So this is basically a zoomed out version of that to capture other aspects. And so when I started 8 years ago, I always thought, I was going to be doing lots of modeling and really playing around with the dessert part, but it's been a lot of vegetables. I've come to find there's much more time spent on collecting the data, also on developing a lot of infrastructure to house the code and any potential data sources, and to integrate that code into the user workflow. So not as much modeling as I'd like, but I think it's been interesting, and I think this reality has helped me develop some skills. So when I started, basically, these are like the 4 buckets that I consider as far as skills. There's skills in getting the data and processing it, skills in coding, software engineering, analysis skills, and some communication. So I wanted to know the very bare minimum and base R and really work with that. But as I did different projects, I found that I needed different tools. So, one challenge was all the data wouldn't fit inside R, and I couldn't also process it in certain projects. And so there were many different packages, like DB, a lot of the dbplot, dbplyr packages to keep the data sort of where it's stored and still interact with it, and then Sparkly R to process it. And then I also found in other projects I was having to do lots of package development. So there are lots of different packages and tools I learned there, as well as version control sort of packages to control the version of R, the packages that are being used, especially in a lot of the pharma applications. And also just dealing with the different types of data and different ways you could share data. So not just plots and reports, but also applications, slides, websites, things like that. So that's really all I want to say about data science. As far as the applications, I would say I feel like it's still very much so in the early days of innovation. There's lots of very exciting things, but I think the pharma companies, at least my opinion, are doing a lot of system migration. They're figuring out where to store their data and training all their personnel. So it's still very much the early days. And I think, something to bring that sort of home was the CDO of Novartis, Bertrand Bodson, said AI is not a magic wand. It's not going to produce drugs like putting a coin in a machine. It's still really imperative to structure the data and get the right answers. And that's something I've sort of seen firsthand. It's really meeting the data and doing what you can. And a lot of that is really in tackling the big pain points of pharma, which is the big cost of developing a drug, the long time to develop a drug, and the small percentage of drugs that actually make it into human trials. So my work has really focused on this first big pain point here. And so I've been in Abbott, which is not really pharma, but there are lots of submissions for the assays and instruments. So a lot of the work I thought was very similar. And at Abbott, I did lots of sort of package development and R validation. So that was really good experience. And there was also real world evidence studies. Sort of I built tools for that using Shiny and Markdown for a medical device, and that was an experience where there was lots of data. It was very high volume. So again, it was sort of expanding that skill set. But now in Takeda, I'm more so on the post-market surveillance side as a data scientist, and that aspect of it has been interesting because to me that was also like always the dark side of sort of the whole sort of pharma development process. But a big thing I've been doing there is basically creating lots of Shiny apps to improve the quality of the products, whether that's through improving ongoing manufacturing or which is mostly numerical data, or a very interesting application that we've been doing is taking a lot of the regulatory and quality data and building these tools that tie into the workflows and address many of the people. Yeah. So that's it. That's all I have to share. Hopefully you guys enjoy the day. There's very interesting talks. We heard from Julia yesterday, and we're going to hear about Julia today. But I think next up is Douglas, who has a really catchy title, and I'm super interested to see what he's going to say. But yeah, thank you guys.